Hello, and welcome to 2021. Let's talk some stream tech. I've had a lot of fun growing my YouTube channel. I'm almost at 1,300 subs. Thank you so much for that. I wanted to run down what my hardware setup is and some of the life lessons I've learned setting up this different hardware, working with these different microphones, gains, cloud lifters, etc. So when it comes to live streaming, a lot of people will dismiss the importance of sound because sound is the number one thing you'll notice when it's wrong. And as somebody who knows the identity of the NASL sound guy, inside joke, then you'll understand just how much sound can disrupt a live performance or a live anything. When I was looking for the right type of hardware that I could afford on a bartender's budget, now an unemployed bartender's budget, it was not limiting necessarily. It was focused in the sense of what is your budget? And there's a number of tools and pieces of equipment out there that can fit the smaller range budget, the do-it-yourself, the at-home hobbyist. As you continue to grow your channel, grow your audience, hopefully grow your income, you can always upgrade. But the number one thing I wanted to start with is the Yamaha MG10XU 10-input stereo mixer with effects. Oh, hi, Katana! Nice of you to join us, but that is not what I wanted to show. That's what I wanted to show. This is the soundboard that I currently use. I have it hooked up with this microphone going into the soundboard, and then the soundboard is connected via USB to my computer, and the computer signal is what's able to bring in the audio from the microphone, but I'm also able to mix game sounds and control the volume that way. The number one pitfall that I keep finding myself in with this type of setup, that I kept finding myself in, was lack of gain when it came to my new microphones. When I had my older microphones, the cordioid mics that were less than $100, they worked great, but as a professional, and also looking at the standard of other YouTube content creators and independent producers, you got to have a really good microphone. So I was able to purchase this microphone, the Shure SM7B cardioid dynamic microphone, which is what I'm using right now. This microphone is exceptional. And you'll see almost everybody on YouTube, the who's who of YouTube, using this microphone for their content creation. Why it's so good, it's the technology behind it. Why does it cost so much? Because the technology behind it is so good. The thing that I'm experimenting with is having it further away with the gain turned higher. Now it's easier for me to be more animated and have more space, and I want to continue to build out this room and extend my green screen. But the number one thing is sound fidelity and sound quality. And so when I do my podcasts, or if I ever have a guest and I'm in my larger studio, this is the top mic to use. So if you can afford it, go for it. If you can't, and you have to go for something that's closer to the $100 range or less, you can still stick with the Shure brand because they have some cardioid mics, handheld mics, that were exceptional when I used them before I had these microphones. But if you have the money, if you have the budget, or if you want to future-proof whatever type of setup you're doing, this is the microphone to get. All right, sure, where's my check? Pay me! When I hooked up this microphone, though, I ran into an issue. When I use streaming software like OBS or Streamlabs, I'm able to increase the gain, the decibel gain of the microphone. So right now my decibel gain on OBS, which is the best streaming software to use in my opinion, is at 20. Even though I have my gain and my volume at a really good level on the mixer, it still sounds low in Windows. And I looked up a number of different articles and websites and people who had posted about their struggles with this same issue. One of the tools that has helped me overcome this issue by having enough gain in the microphone and turning the gain up even higher without having the boost from the software has been this device. It is called a Cloud Lifter. Cloud Microphone's Cloud Lifter CL-1 mic activator. You're thinking, $150 for this? I could buy a microphone for cheaper. Yes, you could. But because the Shure SM7B requires phantom power, this board has a phantom power button. So this is able to push phantom power to a microphone such as the Shure SM7B. This device increases the gain. by using that phantom power. And as it says here, it could increase the gain by 25 decibels. Now, when I first used this device, I was surprised to see the type of gain that I was able to enjoy. And, tested some levels, changed some levels, worked with a compressor. I am still having an issue, though. And that issue is my microphone gain on regular windows, like if I log into Zoom or a Discord call, it's low. It's super low. And if I turn it up on my mix board, it's super high in my headphones, but it's not high enough there. There are a couple levels that I can tune to see if I can raise the gain and reduce the headphone volume and still hear the person across the line. But what I have found, at least what I want to experiment so far, is the output of the board here. So the output that I'm using, you can't see it, but it's over the lip of the top of the board, is the USB connection. But another way to have your audio in, go through the microphone, go through the board, then out of the board into the mic slot is to get two outs, XLR outs, and have them combined into one 3.5 jack. And that jack will jack into the computer on the microphone side. I want to experiment with this, but if I can't hear myself in the microphone, that's half the reason why I had a mix board, is because as a performer and you have headphones on, it's easier to hear yourself and articulate with your voice when you can hear yourself. It's the same if I'm hosting on stage in front of thousands of people. In my inner ear, I need to hear program and I need to be able to hear myself. Otherwise, I'm only able to hear out of one ear. I can't hear what the player's saying. And sometimes it's been delayed. Like I'll talk and then it's delayed in the ear a couple seconds and I'm going, what type of production set this up? Can I work with professionals, please? Those are some crazy shows. But the finagling of this has been important to me because you have to give yourself time on how to properly set up everything that you have. And I have moved around so much, or so often with this production equipment, finding different locations within the house and within the production studio that I liked, and also what nature would dictate if I would get too cold and it wouldn't be worth it for me to keep the heaters going. It's been a fun ride. Try to figure out this board and have fun with some of the effects. Some of the effects I could probably use in a live setting, but I'd have to have the board right next to me, and the board's on the other side of the room. If anybody has issues, or if you have the same situation with your board that Windows for some reason is not picking up high enough mic gain, no matter what you're hearing on the board, let me know, because if it may be the USB versus the 3.5, I'm going to figure that out at the end of this week, and I'll have an updated video next week as we talk about the streaming software that I use. But you have to give yourself time to experiment and to record and listen. I was very privileged working with a professional studio team for many years, and I had an audio engineer and technical director and everybody that was able to set this up because that was their expertise. And I wish I had somebody to come set everything up for me when I was setting things up. But that's not the nature of the budget that I have, nor today with the safety of the virus. It's best just to do things on your own. Okay, so we have the mixer, we got the mic, we have the cloud lifter. What else do we need? We need the camera. Now, each of these elements together, you're able to capture without a computer. Because what you can do with the output on the board, when you have the output that goes into a single 3.5 jack, is you can pop that into this camera. I use the EOS RP, which is a wonderful camera so far. It's been working very, very well. But you can plug in the microphone jack into this camera, and you can record right on the camera, which I have done for a couple of my blog episodes. The struggle I've been having with this camera has been the 4K link device that I purchased from Elgato. But through even further investigation and fiddling and checking things out, I realized that it wasn't the camera that was giving me issues. It was the software that was requiring too much of PC resources in order to load the camera. I would find every time I tried to load the camera in my scenes in Streamlabs OBS, the camera would freeze, even though it was working fine for a week. But then if I open it up in OBS, I found that OBS would work just fine with the camera. Then I have a capture device, and we'll talk about some more software. But the capture device that I have is Elgato HD60 Plus. And you can use that capture device, which is intended to go from console via USB to your computer capture device, and then you can still see the screen for your console. It also works for cameras as well, where you don't have to feed it all the way through to your TV. You can just plug it into the HD60 and then have it feed via the USB. I have had better luck doing that with this Canon EOS camera when I was using Streamlabs. But now that I'm gone back to OBS, because OBS seems to be the superior software, but I can still utilize the widgets and the tools of Streamlabs by just copying the widget address and putting it into OBS. Thank you for that. That the Camlink 4K may still be viable if I use it with OBS. But if I knew anybody that was purchasing a high-end camera and wanted to get started with streaming, and they were focused just on PC streaming and they didn't have a console they wanted to capture, I would probably go with the HD60 Plus capture card over the Camlink 4K as of right now, just in my personal experience with it. But I'll give the Camlink 4K a little bit more time as I do a little bit more cord management, set up. What I'm going to do is I have some extension USB cables that come from the PC, right? But I can put them through some cable management next to my stair and have them out of the way most of the time until I'm ready to set up and play, and then I can put everything away. So that'll be ideal. But when I do that, I'll experiment with the Camlink 4K and see if I can make that work and set the console back up to the HD60 Plus. And I still have an HD60, the non-Plus one, that I can use as a backup. And that's another thing that I've learned as well, that I've been able to make a couple upgrades, unfortunately putting it on a credit card, but we're going into next gen. And keeping some of the old gear just as backups has been more frugal for me than trying to sell the old stuff as of right now. But in a couple months, if there's a couple things that I can sell or donate, I will. But this is the hardcore tech that I'm using to create content. And this is the type of hardcore tech that anybody can take with them and create either content or a podcast, as long as you have 2 microphones. But you can fit all this stuff in a bag, take it with you, set it up, and as long as you have some good lighting, you are good to go. So quick review, we got the Yamaha MG10XU, the Shure SM7B, I don't know why I want to keep saying SMB, SM7B cardioid dynamic microphone, the Cloud microphone, Cloud lifter, CL-1 mic activator, and the Canon EOS RP camera. It's a hefty budget, but one of the best lessons I've learned, if you're ever going to make expensive purchases for equipment, wait until a big sale on a holiday, usually July 4th or Memorial Day. I was able to get this camera for $1,000 with the lens and a light as part of a promotion at Best Buy on Black Friday week. And most of these deals you can find online, because who is going out shopping these days? All right, folks. Well, there's a breakdown of the hardware tech that I'm using. Hopefully this will help you if you're thinking about creating content on YouTube or anywhere. This is some of the best gear that you can buy on a budget to create some great content. Thanks as always for your support and for tuning in to my Monday vlogs. I'm going to be streaming a lot of World of Warcraft this week just to keep growing those YouTube numbers and having some fun and pushing out some more music. Still on track for the 420 digital event, but more and more likely it's probably going to be all remote, but we'll see. Either way, I want to film a couple fun music videos with these artists locally here. I have different staging areas and different sets that I can build in the production studio in the house, and I think would look really cool, some great lighting, step by step. One step at a time. Right now it's just surviving, making sure I have enough food in my stomach. So if you want to help with that, Venmo, Cash App, Patreon, Mr. Joshua Gray. I look forward to this week as we go into the new year. Our problems still haven't disappeared, but every day we're working towards a brighter future. Hopefully, or we can just fall down and be cynical, because that's tempting as well. All right, I'll see you online.